Hi everyone, so this week's SITREP is in a slightly different format to normal as I am joined by our Head of Support, Bev. Bev joined Scotty's in July 2019 as the charity identified that families needed more emotional support. We actually conducted a survey with the Scotty's Little Soldiers parents and guardians, and it revealed that 89% of the families that were asked didn't feel there was adequate support, bereavement support available to military families, and actually 90% of them said that they would be more than likely to use it if this additional support was available to them. So with that, we were able to develop the programme and bring Bev on board because we had the funding from the Veterans Foundation and Annington. And actually, for 2020, Allington have very kindly continued their support of funding Bev's role. So Bev is always on hand to provide emotional support to our bereaved British Forces families. And Bev is going to tell us a bit more about that and the support that she offers. Hi Bev, thank you for joining me on this week's SITREP. Now I know you're not a lover of the camera, but I think it's really important that we highlight the importance of your work and just some of the challenges and issues that our families have to face. So I thought maybe we'd start by asking you why the support you provide is so important to our families.
So I think the support I provide is important because the families, while bereaved children face a lot of similar issues, for the forces families it's enhanced because they lose their military family and that connection and a whole lifestyle, and often they move away from their support networks of school, friends, to an area where people just don't understand what it was like to be in the forces. I think for the parents to have somebody they can pick up the phone to and we can just have a friendly chat about some things, sometimes that's enough and that's all that's needed. Other times I can refer them on or get them help more locally. Winston's Wish do bereavement support for forces children. I can refer them to them. Or if it's around another matter, it could be early help. It could be any type of thing. And there's a lot of charities more local to them that I can refer them on to.
Yeah, I guess I was going to ask you about that actually, about, if you can't offer that support through Scotty's, what do you do? So obviously you refer them over to maybe organisations or agencies that might be able to give them more support. Do you, I know the answer, but just for the viewers, do you, we never leave the family, like refer the family and then leave them, do we? So your role is very much walking alongside them.
Yeah, so I'll phone up once the support is in place and I know it's working well. I'll just check in with them every now and then just to make sure it's still working right, that everything that they need is in place. But they also, I'll arrange, so maybe I'll call them once a month or once every 6 weeks. But they'll know that in between that, if they've hit a hitch or anything like that, they can just pick up the phone and talk to me. And it seems to work really well. A lot of the families seem to appreciate it and we've formed some quite good relationships. It's not all about doom and gloom as well. Sometimes I'll get a phone call just to share a piece of good news,
yeah,
which is great. So when something, especially if a family have had a hitch or, a bit of an issue that they've worked through, and then something goes really well, it's really great when they phone up to share that so we can celebrate that together as well as sort out problems. It's about celebrating successes.
Yeah, definitely. I guess you must see more than any of us that the old saying of like grief hits kids at different stages of their lives. So for Scotty's, we support children from as young as a few weeks old right through to hopefully up to 25 we want to start doing. So I guess the support you offer changes, does it, depending on how old the kid is or when it was that they lost their parent? Do you see lots of different varieties of support?
Yes, so it'll be around ages and stages of development and understanding. Sometimes it might come out as difficult behaviour at school or things like that, but we liaise with the schools and make sure that they understand so that the right support's in place. It could be a younger child struggling to sleep or older children struggling to sleep, but younger children sometimes being able to sleep in their own bed can be quite an issue.
I guess it's for that. It's that letting get that anxiety, I guess, if they've lost a parent.
Yeah, it's that unsettledness and nighttime. We all know if you're awake in the middle of the night, things seem 100 times worse than they do during the day because I don't know. I think your mind works overtime at night, and there's no distraction of what things going on around you. So it's those sort of things. But it could be, let's say, to do with school. It could be wanting some sort of activities that help get emotion and almost aggression out. So things like rugby or boxing can be really useful because they're very disciplined, but they're a way of expressing yourself. And for some, it could be expressing yourself through art. That's a really good form of expression. And sometimes I'll give mums activities to try or link them up to websites that can help. And yeah, I never know with each phone call what's going to be there.
I was going to ask you what's an average day like for you? I guess no 2 days are the same then.
I don't have an average day. I can't even really necessarily. I mean, I know I have certain tasks in my diary that has to be done on that day, but in between that, it's whatever sort of comes in. Might be some mums posted something on Facebook that I think, oh, they sound like they might just need hello, how are you phone call. It might be, I don't know, something really good. I mean, one of our young people that have been supporting around colleges, she's just been given acceptance she applied to 4 and has been accepted at all 4. So that was really exciting. But now she's got to choose which one.
Okay.
So it's all, yeah, it just varies depending on the time, the place, the person. And then we have the virtual gatherings as well. And they are...
So this is something new that you've brought out, mainly due to the coronavirus outbreak, I guess, but maybe something we hope to continue when we're all back to normal, but a virtual gathering.
Yeah, well, because the families are all over the UK and further afield, even when the lockdown's not on, they're not going to be popping around to each other's house for a cup of tea. Because, I mean, last time I had somebody in Scotland, I had somebody down south. It can be, and that's the only way they can still get together and we can sit down with a brew, or in an evening, it's a grab a glass and chat about all sorts. It's sometimes a conversation is about hitches that people are having, and families are really supportive. Mums are really supportive of each other. Other times it's just a giggle.
Yeah, which they need.
Yeah, it is it just depends how the conversation goes. But usually we end up having a really good laugh as well.
That's good. And I guess that's what's really important is you know, it's not just a coffee morning or a grab a glass gathering. It's that you're facilitating it and you can pick up that someone might not be quite right in your coffee morning. I know you've said to me before, and then you pick it up the next day to check in on them. And
yeah,
it's quite a useful way of offering support to a number of people all at once, in a way, I guess.
And they can discuss what works for them.
Yeah.
So one mum might have a suggestion that worked for her with her child that might work for somebody else that's having an issue.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, but I think more than anything, the thing that comes out of it is the feedback of it's just nice to have some adult company and some me time. And if the children are having a temper tantrum in the corner, nobody minds because it happens in every house. Yeah. And in mine, I've got the dog having a hissy fit in the corner instead.
But I guess for these families, Bev, it's what you said at the beginning about military families. They've come from a community, and then you know, often like myself, you move away when someone dies, and you feel quite alone. And lots of our families have said they feel disconnected from the military. So to have you bringing families back together and offering that support and that community again must be just so important to our families.
I think so. And I think as much as I hate videos and video calls, but actually to see each other,
Yeah.
so you can put a name to the face, so that when we are out of the lockdown and we can have our usual events,
Yeah.
they will actually recognise each other rather than just be a name. So friendships are being made and formed as well, and that's really important. I
How
think
do
so
you,
that if you've never been to the Christmas party and it's really intimidating, if you know that that person that you've been speaking to on Zoom at one of the meetings is going to be there, then you'll look out for each other, you can arrange it, and people can keep in touch outside of the meetings. It's not just that they can only talk when I'm there, but it's just a way of, yeah, making friends and making people feel more at ease as well.
yeah, definitely. Do you think, just you touched a bit on the coronavirus there, how do you think that is affecting like the children? So obviously they already had a number of challenges, and now that we've got obviously living in the lockdown and everything, how has that affected the Scottish members?
For some of them, they have quite high anxiety levels anyway as a result of having lost a parent. And then it's a little bit better now, but at the beginning, the news reports, it was in your face every minute, so many deaths, so many deaths. And a lot of families have been like, obviously really quite, their anxiety levels are even higher. These children have already experienced the loss of one parent. And then there's the worry about their surviving parent, their grandparents, friends, family, people that are close in their lives, that might happen to them as well. So it's really quite challenging.
Yeah, I bet. So what do you think, tough one here, what do you think is probably your most challenging part of your role, I guess?
I think the most challenging part of the role is, in my previous roles, I've been in roles where I've gone around houses and I've met with families and I've seen them face to face. And you can judge body language, you actually get to meet them and form a relationship. And actually forming a relationship over the phone, I mean, I've got some amazing relationships with some wonderful people, but that is harder over the phone because you haven't got the visual cues of body language. Um, you can't see a smile, you can't see necessarily somebody's beginning to get a little bit upset. It's only when it shows in their voice that you know they are. And also not being able to do that, just wanting to comfort somebody, which is really difficult to do over the
Yeah.
phone. Whereas you just want to put your hand on the shoulder, or I don't know, if somebody's really upset, go and make a brew and
Yeah.
make, give them a little bit of time. That's much harder sort of over the phone. But with the virtual stuff, it's a bit better because you can actually see people.
Yeah. Yeah, we are lucky that, we're lucky to have the technology that we have, I guess. Could it
I
be a
think
lot better?
lockdown would be much harder without it for a lot of people.
Definitely, yeah. So you mentioned before that, if it's obviously you're there for the families to contact you, or you might pick up on stuff and check in with them, and you said that you give advice and think of activities that might help and find referrals maybe. And then just wondered, what sort of organisations do you sometimes refer to? Who do you sort of work with quite a lot?
So I've done referrals through to places like CAMS, which is Child and Adolescent Mental Health. I've done referrals through to the early help teams who are there to support families. Winston's Wish, obviously, and in Norfolk we've used Nelson's Journey, which are bereavement charities, which will help the children with that. But also, depending on what that situation is, and I don't want to go into too much detail,
Yeah.
but depending on what the situation is, I can usually find an agency, or I can make some calls and talk to somebody and find out who is the right person.
It must be, I know, it must be quite, just, I guess, for a single parent who's, suffered the loss of the husband or wife or partner, and you're raising your child, and you feel quite alone, and you're obviously at your wit's end because they reach out to you when they're in their worst stages, I guess. It's knowing that you're there to almost back them up. And I guess you have some of the tough conversations with the agencies rather than the family having to make that call and tell their story again, do you?
Yeah, and especially with schools. Schools is a big one.
Yeah.
Where I can pick up the phone to the schools and explain around being a bereaved forces child and how that's different and the additional challenges that brings and what sort of support it can be put in place for them, and have those conversations quite often so that when the parent goes into the next meeting, the school are informed and they know what's going on. Because having to keep retell your story is really difficult and very emotional. And sometimes, because it's not my emotion, it's not my story, I can put that across maybe a little bit easier and better, and it saves that parent from being upset. And schools then, or other professionals, are more empathetic about it and understand it more. Because if you've never been in that environment, you don't know what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
As I say, having been in the forces, I was in the army anyway, so that helps me a lot in that I know what you've left behind and what it was like, and being sort of living in on the quarters and that type of thing. So that helps a lot.
This is probably a good time to ask then, Bev, like, what is your background so you're obviously in the forces, but tell us a bit more about you then, what you have done previously.
So I did 7 years in the army, initially as in the QAs as a nurse, and then I transferred over and did intelligence. I had a really bad accident and ended up with medical discharge after spending like 9 months at Headley Court, and lots of surgery, but I just couldn't get my fitness back, so medically discharged from that. Since then, I've worked in palliative care nursing, both at Children's Hospice and for Marie Curie. I've worked with charities that doing like parenting programs and art therapy, different types of support for children and young carers groups. And I used to manage young carers for Norfolk. So I had 28 groups of young carers running in Norfolk that I managed. And I've also worked with all types of disadvantaged children, but I don't like that title. But I've worked with children that are at risk of offending or have been offending. I've worked with bereaved children. I've worked with just children from any background where they need that extra bit of support.
Different roles, but what do you think you most enjoy about your role at Scotty's?
Getting to meet amazing people, even if it is virtually. Some of the mums are absolutely inspiring. And of course, the Scottish team, you know, come on, it's a good team, isn't it? Well, it is, because it is that sort of environment where we are a team.
Yeah.
And we all support each other and work alongside each other. And just the fact that everything we do is for the families, and that's really good. I've worked in other charities where sometimes that gets lost a little, but it's with Scotty's, that's just forefront of the mind. And so, yeah, I'm really proud to work for Scotty's.
That's cool. What type of feedback do you receive from families?
So recent feedback I've had, in fact, 3 different mums say how useful it is as a single parent, like we've said, having to make all those decisions, just somebody to talk over the pros and cons with. So I don't make the decision for them, but I'll be a bit devil's advocate and have you thought of it from this angle, have you thought of it from that angle, and help them come to their own decision about what they're going to do. I think it's such a compliment that people feel they can phone me to talk about things. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and that's so true actually, because when you said that, it rung a bell for me, because one of my biggest things, especially in the early days when I first lost Lee, was, as a parent, you make decisions, important decisions about your kids with another parent to talk it over. And then when you have that gone, you feel very alone, and like, it's only me that can make this call, and if I make the wrong decision, it's on me. I've got no one to talk to about it, you know. And for me, it was about moving house out of the garrison. Where do I go? And I've really felt like Lee's presence was so badly needed then, and I didn't have him to chat to about it. And so it's brilliant that they feel that they can speak to you, and they have that trust in you, and, you know, can talk things over. And that, I think that's, you know, just shows your, you know, your role is so wide, isn't it, with the situations and challenges and conversations you have. It's just so,
yeah. And some of the older children now, they talk to me, or if the family, mum will go talk to them and I'll chat with them, and that works well. And it's, I just say, it's a huge compliment that there's that amount of trust. But if things are getting emotional, and sometimes it's better for somebody else to have that chat and with less emotion. So I don't know, it gets heightened, doesn't it, and becomes a vicious circle of heightened emotions. And for just somebody a little bit, you know, understanding but removed can take some of the heat out sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, but I've got just one more thing before I let you go, because I know you hate this. But one other part of your role, I guess, is that like you were arranging a support retreat, which obviously due to the corona outbreak has been postponed at the moment, but will definitely still happen. Can you just tell us a bit about the retreat that you were planning on carrying out?
So the retreat, when it will happen, so when we can, and when we can get it all in place, the idea of the retreat is to bring back a bit of that military community feel to it. So each child will have a military buddy who has volunteered. The buddies will obviously all be safeguarding checked and everything else, and trained. But so they will have that person who won't do therapy with them, but will walk alongside them while they undergo, you know. And it's going to be a lot of group activities around different issues that they're facing, a chance for the children to talk to each other and share their story. And yeah, just the whole supportive in it together, and knowing hints and tips and a bit of a toolbox as to how to cope with difficult situations. And meanwhile, we'll also be doing some workshops with the mums so that they understand what the children have done, and we'll continue then to support them. They'll be able to support their child at home better.
Yeah, it's brilliant. This is something that Scotty's have identified, that they're, you know, like you said, that there's a need. We do lots of virtual stuff and maybe some group fun stuff, activities like the Christmas party, which, you know, you need that to build the trust and for the kids to make friendships. But the retreat is more about, spending a weekend. It's more about how to cope with your feelings and giving them the tools to almost, you know, help them to move on, I guess, but have them tools to help them when they hit those bad times.
Yeah, and it's not all going to be deep and very emotional. There will be fun involved in it as well, and a lot of the activities will be quite enjoyable to do, but they will have a therapeutic input with them. So we might do an activity and then discuss how that can help you later. So at the end, you sort of explain how that can help them move forward, and also the opportunity to remember, and that it's okay to remember, it's okay to feel sad, but also very much that it's okay to be happy and to enjoy your life as well. Because it's really important the children know that it's okay to have fun. It is okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Bev. Like, you have to tell me to stop now.
It's incoming.
Well, we best let you get back to your important work. Thank you, Bev, for joining me.
Okay, thanks, Nikki.
The great work.
All right, bye.
Thank you.